I'm Karen Bartlett, and I'm playing Sister Sandra.
Hi, I'm Allan Hazlett, and I play Theodore.
Hello, I'm Candice Massie, and I'm playing Emma.
Hi, I'm Larry Holland, and I'm playing Father Gilligan.
Hi, I'm Jayme Basinger, and I play Maria.
Hi, my name is Cherokee Rose, and I'm playing Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sheri. I'm the director of Theodore's Love. Come see us at the Jawhawk on October 11th for the world premiere of Theodore's Love at Astra's Homegrown Playwright Project.
We have a great opportunity to discuss the show a little bit. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is the most interesting thing about working on an original play that you have found?
I can start. I don't know if it's the most interesting, but one thing that's always interesting about that is there's, you have the pressure of source material, and then for me sometimes I don't even really want to go look at, let's say I know there's a movie or a play, I'd almost rather interpret it myself a little bit and just see where it falls.
Sure.
And here there's none of that pressure, whether that's good or bad. There's obviously really trying to understand the script, but there's no so-and-so did it this way, and you've got to take some of that, or you can't, so that's one thing that I find interesting, and just the mere thought that obviously it's coming, it's sprouting right now. So,
I agree. I think the organic feeling of being able to take a piece that somebody who's locally that has written and put everything into and getting to express that on stage, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's fun. Mm-hmm. That's art.
I think having access to the actual playwright to see, is there more about the character that you were thinking about when you were writing that might not have come through what I'm reading? Is there?
We've had a time or two of that already. Yeah. Not a lot, but you've definitely gotten some from the original playwright.
Mm-hmm. It's been really awesome, and then to be able to work together to make it come alive the way that it has just been, I think, the most interesting. I always think that with a regular play that's been produced however many times, again, you've got so much extra, everybody else, all these other actors who have played this part in this role, and can give you, hints and bits and things like that. But with this, we have to come together as one. As okay, what is our vision for this going to be?
Yep. Great.
So I think that's been pretty interesting for me.
I don't know if this is interesting. It's knowing the writer, Huascar Medina, and knowing the kind of artist he is, and the kind of artist that Sheri is, and knowing her and being so proud to be a part of this first play and for her directorial debut. So that's exciting too. And I want to do what's the best job I can.
Right. You're always motivated by making the work stand out, but especially when it's somebody's very first baby, and you're the very first person who can do it. And I always love the idea, you guys hear me talk about it, but world premiere,
Exactly.
Because it's true. Yeah. And you don't know what might happen to this afterwards. Does he take it and develop it further? Will this just be the moment? Who knows? But you were the world premiere cast.
Yeah, to be on that ground floor of that beginning. Oh yeah, that's exciting.
And even if this one isn't, this could be the beginning of more for Huascar. He gets his feet wet, so that's another. So I agree there.
Absolutely, and you all get to originate these characters. So if it does carry on, hopefully it does.
We imprinted this.
Exactly, yes. You're the ones.
And all the published, if it's published in book form, they always put the original cast right in the front.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is fun. And the other part, beyond the other people who have played the roles, there are no reviews to work with.
Right.
There's no interpretations. It's not in any class books. It's just nowhere.
Yep.
From the very beginning.
Yep. Fresh. And speaking of first times, we've got Cherokee in her first acting role.
Even though she's got a lot of experience in theater, so what's your...
I've done a lot of makeup and a lot of makeup.
But you've seen a lot and been involved in a lot, so what are your
definitely.
thoughts on a original playwright series?
Well, it's definitely different being on the other end of things because I've always been back, just being that, which I enjoy that. That's been a big part of my life. So just, you know, experiencing it and meeting all these people has been so lovely, and obviously Huascar is really nice. So that's just been really fun getting to experience that with all of you guys.
Good. Okay. So, is this an experience that you would recommend to other actors, and if so, why?
As far as it being.
The Homegrown Playwright Project. So I can rephrase that. So, is the Homegrown Playwright Project something that you would suggest other actors to participate in the future, and if so, why?
I would suggest they do it, but first and foremost, I think you should always read the script first. Sometimes these original scripts are not as good as this one, as politely as I can say it, and it's important to read it first of all, to see if it attracts you, and then to the best of your ability determine if you're able to see something you can do and if you think it's a good show.
And another self-interested type of motivation that someone can have is because it's not a known work, it might be the little secret where you get to, you know, get a nice meaty part or just a good part because everybody doesn't already know the title. And of course, as obviously this question overlaps with the last one, is that, you know, how cool and unique of an experience it is to work on an original work like that. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. With, you know, with, like you said, I mean, but I know I've gotten pretty lucky being involved. The last two were actually pretty darn good scripts. So, but of course, yeah, look into that script and see what you think.
And beyond the script, is there something that, when I read this script particularly, I saw what I thought would be a fun role to try to create. And then I read the rest of the play, since I'm mostly in the beginning, and I thought, gee, this is pretty doggone good.
One other nuance with these types of things, because it's homegrown, and we know the venue tends to be simpler, it's usually a more simple production, is that you know, you don't have to worry about costume changes as much. It's a lot more intimate, and it's, for me, these tend to, I know last year's was, it's a real life drama, not explosions. It's about how dramatic relationship moments and life moments
It's very
can be.
simple. It's
And
simple
so-
because it's so real like that.
And that's interesting compared
Exactly.
to some productions.
I agree.
A homegrown playwright probably comes with that kind of material,
Right.
and it's simple and beautiful, and it can be dramatic in its own way without having to be quite so over top dramatic.
Well, and that, you used one of my favorite words in the theater, the relationships. And there are some really nice relationships. They don't necessarily have to be good. They can be bad, or they can be good, or they can fluctuate. But that to me is the key to good theater, is you can see the relationships between the characters, and you sure can here.
Yeah. I would totally recommend everybody to be a part of this, just from everything that we've experienced through the relationship with the playwright, with you, with each other. I mean, we know each other from so many different parts of Topeka, but we all came together to do something, to create something together. And I think everybody should experience that, with no preconceived notions of what this material is going to do. I think people should experience everything that this has to offer, because this is unique. We don't have this everywhere. This is very unique.
And I can say, I've told you guys that I thought 10, 12 years ago when, the artistic director at the main theater in town was the guy, I thought, we have so much talent. I'm just waiting. I can imagine that with the talent and the interest in theater, that should eventually turn into a lot of directors.
Yeah.
And should and could eventually turn into playwrights. Mm-hmm. And now, thanks to 24-Hour Play Festival and that has happened.
Yeah.
And so this is another reason for this, is you're going to see new director talent too.
Yep.
You know, which is also interesting.
Yep.
So.
Well, and at the end, at the other end of something like this workshop type of production essentially is what it is. Because working in concert with the playwright, it will be interesting to see if we bring anything to it
Exactly.
that he decides to put and adjust the script for.
Right,
And that's in the future.
That's really great because he can change it. He
Oh, sure.
can modify it.
Mhm.
He can just do as much, and yeah, the inspiration that hopefully we bring to that is, I love that. That's great.
And that's a great point. Without a set script, I can tell you last year, you know, these are going to come in a variety of maturity levels over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And last year, we worked with it quite a bit. And that's a different thing than you usually do. I mean, we're like doing rewrites.
So none
You
of
know?
them are
So,
the exact
and
same.
some years it might be a pretty set script,
Right.
like this year. In other years, you might be really involved with, you know, helping to shape that script and kind of getting it back and forth. So that's a little bit different than a lot of
Well,
experiences.
If it's a published script from any of the
Right.
you
cannot.
can't change anything unless you get permission from the playwright.
Yeah. And we have him.
Right here.
Right
Say-
here.
Do we have permission?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can I do this? Okay, great.
Tap, tap.
I would totally recommend everybody to be a part of this, just from everything that we've experienced through the relationship with the playwright, with you, with each other. I mean, we know each other from so many different parts of Topeka, but we all came together to do something, to create something together. And I think everybody should experience that, you know, with no preconceived notions of what this material is going to do. I do. I think people should experience everything that this has to offer, because this is unique. We don't have this everywhere. This is very unique.
And I can say, I've told you guys that I thought 10, 12 years ago when, you know, the artistic director at the main theater in town was the guy, I thought, you know, we have so much talent. I'm just waiting. I can imagine that with the talent and the interest in theater that should and could eventually turn into a lot of directors.
Yeah.
And should and could eventually turn into playwrights. And now thanks to 24-Hour Play Festival and this, that has happened.
Yeah.
And so this is another reason for this is you're going to see new director talent too.
Yep.
You know, which is also interesting.
Yep.
So.
Well, and at the end, at the other end of something like this workshop type of production essentially is what it is. Because working in concert with the playwright, it will be interesting to see if we bring anything to it
Exactly.
that he decides to put and adjust the script for.
Right,
And that's in the future.
That's really great because he can change it. He
Oh, sure.
can modify it.
Mhm.
He can just do as much, and the inspiration that hopefully we bring to that is, I love that. That's great.
And that's a great point. Without a set script, I can tell you last year, you know, these are going to come in a variety of maturity levels over the years, right? And last year, we worked with it quite a bit. And that's a different thing than you usually do. I mean, we're like doing rewrites.
So none
You
of them
know?
are the
So,
exact
and
same.
some years it might be a pretty set script,
Right.
like this year. In other years, you might be really involved with, you know, helping to shape that script and kind of getting it back and forth. So that's a little bit different than a lot of
Well,
experiences.
If it's a published script from any of the
Right.
you
cannot.
can't change anything unless you get permission from the playwright.
Yeah. And we have him.
Right here.
Right
Say-
here.
Do we have permission?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can I do this? Okay, great.
Tap, tap.
Tell me about your character.
So let's start with Larry.
I mean, no spoilers. I guess I got to be careful. You'll have to wait to find out. But at least up front, Father Gilligan is just trying to, you know, he's earnest and he is trying his best, and we're all imperfect and we all know that, but you just, you know, you try to do what's right, and it's not always easy, and especially when it's mixed into loyalties and commitments and faith. So he's just working through life best he can, and things happen in life when you have those various commitments, even if you're trying to be a good person all along. So go with that.
Well, Emma has been with her husband since high school, and that's her biggest relationship, and that's her family, and she will do whatever she needs to do to take care of her husband. She is, makes the food and cleans the house, and he's pretty much everything to her. I think that she just, with what's happened, and she's just trying to be calm and stay focused and make sure that he's taken care of. That's mainly what I have.
It's hard to describe my character without giving out too much about the whole play. Again, I guess Maria is kind of the product of something that happened in the past that Emma doesn't quite know about, and just coming to terms with herself finding out everything that had happened and dealing with everything, and having to kind of balance that. Do I, who do I talk to? What do I do about this situation? I mean, it's hard. Again, it's hard without really
spoilers.
really giving out too much about it.
She's dealing with complex emotions.
She is. I mean, she's sad in the beginning and kind of distraught and not sure what to do in the beginning, and then kind of towards the end of the play, she's, I guess, kind of found her happy and is comfortable finally with everything that has happened. Just finding herself, I guess, throughout this.
I think at this point, Theodore doesn't know really who he is, and the only touchstone he has is Emma. And that's his anchor. And beyond that, he's sort of lost.
Well, Sandy is not invested in the drama. She's kind of at the age where she wants to do her own thing. She's starting to, go be an adult. And she loves her family, but she's not into it. She doesn't want to deal with that. So.
Sister Sandra is she's that person that's gonna make everything fine, and whether you like it or not. She's the glue to a lot of the situations, because I think she understands how important it is that things come out and are said, because I think she's a very faithful, religiously person, and I think that adds to her being caring and being okay and making situations okay and not as big of a deal as they are. She's just a very positive person.
What do you want audiences to take away from this play? Whoever would like to talk first.
To feel good about their family. It might be unorthodox, but you struggle through things, and you see how people can deal in that situation, and you can come together, and how to maybe deal with those struggles.
Yeah, I'd add along those lines, and then too that maybe some of you're trying to be a rock all the time, and you kind of connect, and sometimes it's okay to let on a little bit more, and in fact letting on about your troubles and your problems. In a way, it seems like, whoa, why would I dump that on somebody? And if that's just what needs to happen, you'll find the people that care about you are fine with it. So that's kind of a good thing to come away from, I think, from this.
Don't know how many of them will attached to it. One of the things I see is that there's no such thing as a family secret.
Right.
They all come out sooner or later. To me, that's one of the messages.
I think too, tragedy, even though it may seem hard to get through or whatever, there's always somebody that's there for you, that can be there for you, that wants to be there for you. And don't push people away, because you can end up hurting yourself more by doing that than.
And I think the value of people is really something this production talks about. From relationships to families to friendships to religious things that we believe in. It's relationships, and I think that's important. And I think that's what they're going to walk out and go. Somebody might call their mom when they go home after that, which I hope they do.
And Sister Sandra, with her ways, maybe another lesson to your point, kind of what we've all been saying, is that you don't have to be afraid of that situation where you go, well, I can't be that person's friend.
Right.
You never know. And if you're open up to that, you can be at least someone important to that person you thought there's no way. So
Right. Forgiveness, I think, is an underlying tone in this production.
Well, the person who brings you the worst possible news can turn out to be your best possible friend.
That's right.
It's true. What makes this homegrown project unique for Topeka?
I think Topeka in general tries to be a big family to one another. I know a lot of people probably disagree with that, but in my experience, I've been a lot of places all over the world in the U.S. And what makes Topeka unique is the community that's here. And I think this play will speak to that community because, when there is a tragedy, when somebody dies, or when something happens to somebody that completely changes their lives, there's always family or friends that are there. They want to be there. They want to help you. And, one of the wonderful things about Topeka is just everybody wants to have that helping hand. And if you need anything, please let me know. I'm right here.
yeah, I've only lived here about a dozen years, and I call it like the biggest small town or the smallest big town in America, right? Because before you know it, you're like, oh, you know that person? So many overlap. But I guess I'll get more basic. What's unique for Topeka? Is that right? Every year we've only had, this is still a pretty new deal, and even though we see this growth and this, directors and playwrights, we're still just a handful of original works. And this is, I think, original among those original. I mean, as far as I know, they're all a little different, and you're not going to see, you haven't seen anything original like this in Topeka. So I'll go with that one. How about that?
I'll tell you what I think it will do for Topeka. It will expose Ad Astra. It will expose us as artists to other people so they know what we can do. It will bring other people who are interested into what we are trying to accomplish here with bringing more playwrights in and bringing more directors in and bringing more actors in. I think this opportunity, that's what is unique and will help Topeka. And it exposes all of us and everything that we're involved in. So hopefully we keep the interest, and it gets bigger and it gets more, and we get even more people interested. That's why this is very important and what it'll bring to Topeka.
It's an interesting overlap with, if you will, kind of the snowball of, Noto and First Fridays, and because you kind of think that is okay. Can art be here? More than just coming through or something like that. Can it be and grow here? And Noto reminds you of that a little bit, and this certainly does.
And my answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Can.
Well, and when the Menninger Foundation left, they were very active in the arts in this community.
Yeah.
And I was terribly concerned that not just theater, but all of the arts would fade. And it's been fascinating in the last 30 years. Well, 30 years ago, there were several theater companies, and then they faded.
Yeah.
And now they're coming back, and there are several. And I've never thought theater's a competitor competitive sport. It feeds on itself, and the more things there are, the more things that will develop, and people will say, no, I'd rather do this kind of theater or that kind of theater.
Gives us variety. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the format is kind of unique too, since this one act all the way through, no intermission.
Love it.
Hour and 15. Yeah, so it's allowed us more time to talk about characters and really dig into things in rehearsals, but it's also, you're going to be on that ride uninterrupted. You're going to be on that ride uninterrupted, right? Yeah. And I think that gets audiences really engaged in a different way, and possibly different than a lot of people in Topeka are used to.
I agree.
I'll give one more unique, even though it's not specifically to this, but it's that unknown, right? It's homegrown, and it may or may not. This may be the only time it passes into the ether.
Right.
It may not be that, some works pass into the ether in Ontario and then down in Dallas or, someplace out in Nebraska, but it's just locally it's off into the ether. This, it could be the only time.
You want to catch it?
Don't miss the world premiere.
That's right. Well, thank you all for making the time to discuss our show. I had a lot of fun. Hope you did too.
This was cool.
I like these, yeah.
Yeah, and we want to, if you would join me in welcoming people to come see our show October 11th through the 14th at the Jawhawk Theater in the Gallery. We are the cast and director of Theodore's Love. It's also written by Huascar Medina. Come and see us. Tickets are only $10 online. You can do that. Please.
See you then.